What if I told you that the nature of human feelings has become a commodity? Open your eyes. A cold morning in a technologically advanced metropolis. The glass facade of the rehabilitation center sparkles under the dim light. As you pass by, you feel the cold penetrate to your very soul. Empty corridors, holographic screens, neat rows of doors. This is a world where emotions are under complete control. Here, in this ultra-modern medical complex, love has become a dangerous illusion. Every sound, every movement is hermetically sealed in a clinic where human feelings are viewed as tactical units, perfectly susceptible to manipulation by technology. Behind these lifeless walls, a real drama unfolds. People, stripped of the ability to experience genuine emotions, learn to tune their feelings as if it were an ordinary algorithm. Victims of love, patients of this establishment, find themselves here not out of suffering but due to the imposed belief that their suffering is caused by a misunderstanding of themselves. They are deceived by the common idea that love is a disease, not a gift. Here, everyone is taught how to be the perfect consumer of emotions, how to exclude passion from their lives, replacing it with safe, accessible, and sterile substitutes. The wall of positivity radiates smiles, but there is no warmth in those smiles. Faith and sincerity has been replaced by algorithms of confessions, and reality by virtual meetings. How can a person feel alive when every moment is pre-programmed? This raises questions. What are we becoming? Where is the line between living and imitating life? Every patient here is not a story of suffering, but a scientific study of how our world has become a haven for the manipulation of emotions and feelings. These walls do not shield from the outside world. They create a new version of it, where your desires and dreams are adjusted to the framework set by the system. Here, in this center, you are not just healing your feelings. You are reprogramming the very nature of love as if it were just another function in our existence. How far are you willing to go for comfort when love has ceased to be something real? What if I told you that love is not what we were taught? In the 2040s, this cult of feelings became an officially recognized dangerous illusion. Imagine a world where emotions are not a gift, but a disease. Countries are enacting laws that limit the expression of feelings as they can destroy not only families but entire societies. How did this happen? How did love, which was considered a sacred aspect of human life regardless of time, culture, and place, suddenly turn against us? The desire to love, to hug, to be loved has become a cause for fear. Everywhere we see posters, "Keep your heart safe," or "Emotions are your enemies." People communicate through technology, but are they still real? How many times have you heard someone say, "I'm not ready for a relationship, it's too risky"? This phrase has become the standard, an agreement with a system that instills the belief that vulnerability is weakness. Did we really need to stray from simple human happiness? Let me tell you a mini story. A young couple met, embraced, their eyes shining with joy. 2 months later, they broke up, and each of them received a medical diagnosis of emotional dependency. This is not just a story. It's a reality we could change. Each of us faces a choice: to live life in a safe shell where feelings are under control, or to take a risk and open our hearts despite the dangers. After all, what could be more amazing than a deep connection with another person? Or perhaps that is what scares us. Can you understand this contradiction? Love as the foundation of happiness, or love as a threat? This dilemma sounds like a bad dream, but for many it is an everyday reality. What will you choose? What if I told you that your life could radically change in just a couple of months because of one subscription? I never thought I would share my story, but it is important. I have always been an ordinary person. Work, family, friends. And then, one day I received a message about a new social network. Nothing special, but it really drew me in. I started finding friends there, sharing my thoughts. Everything seemed harmless until I met her. She became a beacon, a source of inspiration. Her posts resonated with me, evoking emotions I hadn't felt in a long time. Soon, thoughts and desires overwhelmed me. Was she the one? I spent hours studying her account, analyzing every word, every photo. I lost track of time, forgetting what was important. Work, family. Every day I awaited her new posts, wondering what would happen with her, anticipating her reactions to my comments. I realized this was no longer just an interest, it was an obsession. My life became a dark screen where the only light was her online presence. I felt dependent, like I was craving tobacco or alcohol. Now it had control over me. After several months, I gathered my strength and decided to stop, to acknowledge that this wasn't healthy. I deleted my account. It was hard. Every button felt heavy like weights. But the moment I clicked delete, I felt free. Now sitting here, I understand that this addiction, this fixation replaced my real life. I learned to feel and love without conditions and foreign ideals. Maybe now, as I share this with you, someone can avoid the same mistake. Don't let virtual relationships become your only source of happiness. Look broader. Seek real connections in the real world. Are you ready to learn the truth that love is now considered a mental disorder? This is not a joke. The official description of the diagnosis flashes on the screen, and a multitude of questions instantly arises in your mind. Yes, in a world where our understanding of romantic relationships is being reevaluated, it is worth considering how social norms have changed. Once, love was seen as the highest good, inspiring acts of bravery and achievement. Now it has been overshadowed by diagnoses and scientific research. We are so accustomed to romantic movies and songs filled with tenderness that it is simply impossible to imagine how this has become one of the categories of mental disorders. How did this happen? Surprisingly, all those crazy actions of lovers, from mad serenades under windows to spontaneous trips into the unknown, now sound like symptoms. Imagine your friend shares their passion and you, feeling awkward, ask, "Aren't you under some diagnosis?" The situation seems funny, but it turns out it's far from unique, as many start to believe that deep feelings are merely the result of hormones and mental disturbances. Once it was simply about being in love. We remember how soft gazes and fluttering hearts were the basis for binding ties. Social norms have been rewritten. Now feeling too intensely can be considered not just strange, but even dangerous. What other changes await us in this new world where love is confused with a diagnosis? It is time to reflect on what this could lead to. Are you ready to learn the truth about your feelings? What if everything you experience could be switched off with the push of a button? Imagine this. You enter a clinic where the cold light of fluorescent lamps and sterile walls create an atmosphere of indifference. You sit in a chair resembling a spacecraft, feeling fear and excitement overwhelm you. But that fear quickly turns into indifference when a mechanical voice speaks. You are troubled by feelings of love. We can fix this. A medical robot resembling a calculator with human features begins to explain how the algorithm works. It promises that in just a few minutes you will be able to rid yourself of all emotions associated with this awkward attachment. With each word, the voice of the machine becomes increasingly monotone, and the words take root in your consciousness like institutional propaganda. Chemical balance alteration is the method used in 99% of cases. You will no longer worry, feel tenderness, or suffer. You realize in horror that your uniqueness boils down to a simple equation. Feelings are just chemical reactions, runs through your mind. It seems to you that the last scrap of your soul is being stripped away, replaced with a cold, unfeeling formula. The mechanical voice continues. We will stabilize your condition. Then you can continue your life without unnecessary attachments. You don't have to suffer anymore. Just let science help you. You catch yourself thinking that you want to stop this process, but each breath becomes exhausting. What if feelings are what make us human? The thoughts inside you merge into one, leaving you restless. A graph appears on the screen with sliders. Love, hate, joy, sadness. Your life is reduced to mathematics, to a formula, and everything you hold dear is erased. This process will only take a few minutes and you won't remember what it's like to be in love. The robot repeats, its voice becoming increasingly mechanistic, stripping away the last remnants of your resistance. And then you realize, standing on the edge between the warmth of human emotions and mechanical emptiness is the most terrifying thing that could happen to you. Are you ready? Or would you prefer to stay with your feelings even if they cause pain? What if I told you that you are not the only one who controls your feelings? Doesn't it sound frightening? Each of us considers ourselves the master of our emotions, but what if there are forces at play that we are not even aware of? Imagine for a moment, you make a decision full of confidence and joy. But suddenly, as if by magic, everything changes. One word, one glance, and your soul comes to a halt in confusion. Who really influences you when you smile or cry? Is it your choice or the result of the world's impact around you? The neighbor who constantly complains about life brings out the worst in you, making you doubt yourself. The friend who is always upbeat and cheerful seems to fill you with energy, yet may hide less than good intentions behind your back. Who truly shapes your feelings in those moments? Have you ever wondered why you felt joy in one company and sadness in another? Is it coincidence or a pattern? Perhaps you will never be as happy as you were in childhood, as every year you discover something new about the world and about yourself. The feelings that arise within you are shaped not only by your experiences, but also by the opinions of others. So who is really doing this? Is it your inner world? Or perhaps those who surround you? It can be scary, but sometimes it's worth stopping and asking yourself, do I really choose my feelings, or am I just reacting to the external world? Do you know that one unnoticed detail in your life can completely change your perception of reality? Imagine a girl who cannot feel loved until her platform piles on a ton of virtual approvals. She stands in front of the mirror looking at her reflection and asks herself, why don't I feel happy? Behind her, endlessly bright notifications on her phone create an illusion of importance and popularity. Each like is a piece of the mosaic of her self-esteem. Each comment, a step towards her inner ideal. But what if she loses her phone? What if the internet goes down? This is when the instant fall into the abyss happens. Like raindrops, images of support and love disappear, revealing emptiness within. The secrets of gray days, what happened to her emotions, what kind of world are we talking about when a great post evokes more feelings than real communication? In the interrogation room, she touches the table, watching the monitor with notifications, and alternately plunges into a shocking realization. Every message is now perceived as the best or worst event in her life. Like a character from a drama, her inner voice whispers, "Is it enough for you? Can you be yourself?" She realizes that technology is becoming a web in which not only her legs but also her thoughts are entangled. The dependence on emotional likes is not just a syndrome. It is an entire era that has captured minds, isolated them from real feelings, forcing them to involuntarily adjust to others' expectations. She decides, enough hiding behind the screen, it's time to reclaim the real. But is she the one everyone knows, or just a ghost of virtual life? Questions about worth, self-acceptance, and true love are leading her to understand that behind each like is a real person. But what will happen when she stops seeking validation from the outside and begins to rediscover her worth within? It is time to reveal the truth that not everyone knows, and it may be shocking. What if I told you that the brightest emotions are now available on demand? Imagine a subscription to falling in love like a popular streaming service. Every morning you open the app and choose which emotion you want to feel today. Romance? Sure. A bit of sadness for the mood? Easy. Against the backdrop of this amazing commercialization of feelings, you feel like you're in a surreal movie where people are starting to be considered commodities. Just imagine, a couple stashes away money and buys love. But how contradictory is that? Feelings that should be sincere and deep are now perceived as video games. Let's illustrate this. Call a friend and ask how he feels about the notion of falling in love. Why worry when you can just subscribe to Trying Love for 10 rubles a month? All of this reminds me of dancing on a grave where someone sips coffee and jokes about the free sale of happiness. Funny, right? We live in a world where genuine feelings are turned into merchandise that costs less than your subscription to the next album. But where are we heading by doing this? The commercialization of emotions is not just an absurd joke. It's a reality in which many are ready to buy crumbs of happiness, forgetting that true feelings are not meant for sales. Perhaps it's time to ponder what is more important, a subscription to positive emotions or the sincere moments that leave a mark in the heart. Are you ready to learn how your emotions have become as accessible as everyday goods? Imagine that with the push of a button, you can transform into the most in-love person in the world, or conversely, be gifted with the calm of indifference. The interface of the platform Tune Your Emotion appears on the screen. Bright shimmering colors grab your attention and convenient tabs allow you to instantly select the desired emotion. First, we immerse ourselves in the atmosphere of love. Hearts on the screen beat in rhythm and romantic moments are brewing around. Vibrant dates, sincere glances, and abundance of memories. One click and you are ready for new feelings filled with joy and excitement. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything changes. Indifference, the simplicity of choice. For sometimes it's easier not to feel. The interface features calm, cool shades, a minimalist design that emphasizes the absence of emotions. You wonder, are you ready to return to a lifestyle free from emotional attachments? With each choice, the platform shapes your own emotional reality and you understand. Feelings are no longer a mystery. It's a product available to everyone. A couple of clicks and you're on the threshold of a new life where every emotion is at your disposal. Do you feel how your life is changing already? What if I told you that true love does not exist? The doctor looks at me with slight disdain, furrowing his brows. He speaks of relationships as merely products of our biology and social structures. Oh, how that raises doubts. Aren't all those smiles, kisses, and tender words sincere? But think, can feelings caused by hormones be real? We live in a world where everything is measured, where everything is subjected to a system. And here it is, love, seemingly disproven time and again. Yes, many say that being in love is like a drug. But what makes it real? What if all these feelings are just chemistry, and we are puppets dancing to the tune of biology? We crave intimacy, but are our desires sincere? How can we know if every tear of joy, every smile, and every hug truly dwells in our hearts, rather than being imposed by society? Why, despite all the doubts, do we continue to believe in romance? Questions that make one ponder deeply. On the other hand, one can recall the story of a woman who found her love in her mature years. She shared how she searched for many years, lost herself, and rose again. But at that moment, she understood that only now, at her age, after all the trials, was she finally ready to accept love. Is this not true love grounded in experience? Or do we once again fall into the trap of the romantic ideal? So what is true love beyond systems? A complex question for which everyone has their own truth, and each finds their answer in their own life. What if I told you that everything you believed about love and medicine might be wrong? Petya had always been the perfect patient. Clean reports, regular pill intake, guaranteed approval from doctors. But one day, he met Christina. She was everything he had never dreamed of, and it was with her that he began to feel what he thought was unattainable. True love. When he held her hand for the first time, his heart raced as if it were free from all shackles. But the system did not forgive. Commanding voices from the hospital whispered to him, "Take your medication, stay within limits, don't cross your boundaries." Petya bit his lip. Every time he took a pill, it pulled him further from that feeling. He felt like a puppet bound by invisible strings. Despite all the fears and warnings, he began to secretly refuse his medications. At first it was difficult, then liberating. He and Christina exchanged messages at night. Each message was like a small spark of freedom. "You shouldn't be afraid to be yourself," she wrote, and he couldn't help but think how her words resonated within him. These lines were sweet like honey, but with each passing second, the pain in his chest only grew stronger. The anxious music of his consciousness did not fade as he realized he could lose everything. Petya tried to hide his feelings, to smooth out the internal contradictions. He was in confrontation with a system where everything revolved around dosage, therapy, and monotony. He understood that his rebellion could lead to various consequences. But this risk reminded him that he was alive, and perhaps that was his chance for true inner freedom. When he looked at Christina, he felt it was all worth it. He knew that as long as he was with her, he could break the chains. Thus, amidst messages and expectations, he began to rewrite his future, step by step, rejecting what once kept him in place. Would he be able to stand up and say no to the system, leave everything behind, and accept love as it is? Are you ready to learn the shocking truth about how love can destroy your life? Have you ever wondered why romantic dependency is considered normal in our society, while it is actually a real social anomaly? Let me introduce you to the world of psychiatry, where we will set the record straight. Imagine this. You seemed completely healthy, and then that perfect person enters your life. It all starts with passion and tenderness, but soon your thoughts become obsessive. You lose interest in friends, work, even in yourself. This is not just depression, it's a syndrome. Experts say that the feelings you experience from love are akin to a drug addiction. Don't be surprised, but it's human nature to seek comfort in others when we cannot cope with our own inner demons. So why do we continue to go with the flow? It's all about our society that elevates the idea of two halves. We fall prey to Hollywood movies and romantic comedies where love always wins. But in reality, 90% of all relationships end in breakup, sometimes leaving behind complete ruins of emotional state. It may seem that love is the path to happiness that everyone dreams of. But here's a funny fact. At the moment we start to see another person as the only light in our lives, we lose all understanding of ourselves. And this is not just a coincidence. It's a pressing need for independence that we ignore. Experts paint a grim picture for us. Romantic dependency is not just a failure in relationships, it's a real illness. People plunge into emotional poverty, forcing themselves to suffer in unnecessary connections. How many times do you think you've encountered people who manage to stay in toxic relationships just because it can't be any other way? Imagine being on a path to destruction rather than on the red carpet. Yes, it's a decision to return home to someone who disappoints you, but your psyche demands change. We must stop deceiving ourselves that love will save us from loneliness. In reality, it's just another way to become dependent, and dependencies are burdens that we must acknowledge and overcome. So are you ready to look within yourself to free yourself from this unnecessary attachment? Let's open our eyes together to the fact that real love begins not with another person, but with understanding ourselves. Stop being a hostage of your emotions. This is the key to freedom and happiness. Are you ready to face what lies behind the facade of successful treatment? We hear stories of miraculous healings, but what happens after the patient leaves the clinic? Doctors hand out diagnoses and prescriptions, but what is the true cost of this well-being? Here are a few individuals who went through the system, became healed, but now live in chains of apathy. One of them was Andre. He left the hospital with hope, but soon life became empty and meaningless. Instead of enjoying life, he now sits on the couch staring at the ceiling. His eyes have dulled, and his dreams have vanished like morning fog. Vera, another healed person, also experienced similar feelings. I thought that after treatment I could return to a normal life, she admits. But it turned out that the treatment did not heal my soul. I lost myself. All these hopes turned into disappointment. She couldn't understand what exactly happened. But change is not always a path to light. After all, when you expel one thing, another may remain in the shadows. These are the pits of inner emptiness left by the system. It's as if you were treated for pain, only to be left in it instead. And the most frightening thing is the awareness that you are alone in your experiences. We always hear about the side effects of medications, but who talks about the side effects of the treatment process itself? How do you move on when healing has become just a mask hiding a deep inner wound? The question now is, when we sought a solution, did we forget that real life is not measured solely by physical health? Your feelings, your hopes, they matter too. What is the price of substituting life with apathy? What if I told you that your entire life is just a bubble filled with childish fantasies? Have you ever wondered how much time you spend indulging in these sweet illusions, draining your real emotions? In our new course, Resilience to Romanticization, we will teach you to get rid of these fairy tale dreams like unwanted clothes in your closet. Forget about them like old diapers. It's time to make room for real life. And no, we are not suggesting that you smash glasses in another support group. Instead, we are offering you access to a flawless, perfectly sterile course on healthy feelings that will protect you from bright illusions. Imagine this. Sitting in our cozy office with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and enjoying our lessons that teach you to embrace reality in all its grayness. You must take responsibility for your life. Why chase dreams when you can simply take a step towards gray reality? And remember, our course will not just change your outlook on the world. It will make it as flat and colorless as the wallpaper in your grandfather's room. Did you know that 95% of people continue to believe in their rosy dreams? Let's rise against this, master the anti-aesthetic world, and live for real. Join us and you will see. Life without illusions isn't so bad. Don't miss your chance. Even if everything around becomes dull and predictable, we promise you, with the Resilience to Romanticization course, it will be much more fun than with your dreams of a bright future. Are you ready to face a reality where even the most genuine feelings can turn out to be just a starting point for algorithms? Let's take a look into a world where love and support become data processed by artificial intelligence. Two people far apart sit in their isolated boxes, screens in the foreground displaying their faces, but the words are not what comes from their hearts. They discuss important topics, share experiences, but each time the algorithm interferes, tweaking their words, adding phrases that seem to protect but actually just strip away authenticity. "You know, I feel that," one begins. Suddenly a message appears on the screen. "Don't forget, you must be optimistic. Rephrase that." Amazingly, moments later, their exchange seems like nothing more than a set of standard replies. "I'm fine, I'm happy." Is this really true? Can one be happy when genuine emotions are trapped in a capsule of digital filters? It's like listening to cheerful music while sitting in a dark room. We see their smiles, but hear only the echo of what remains outside of processing. The technical wonders designed to facilitate communication have actually become a barrier to true understanding. Each conversation is interrupted, depriving them of the chance to be themselves. Two lives intersecting only in the space of a screen, starting to get lost in a sea of vain algorithms. How long can a connection be maintained when real feelings are sent into an endless stream of data? Once they dreamed of a shared future, and now just lines arranged in the order of an algorithm, moments of authenticity captured in the nets of virtual distortions. Think about it. What would you do if you found out your love could be recoded? Could you keep your feelings genuine when even your words are entirely controlled by this soulless machine? What if your emotions became just a set of algorithms, calculating when to sadden you and when to cheer you up? What is it like to live in a world where feelings become elements of code, where every admiration or disappointment can be predicted, and the fragility of the inner world is governed by the laws of efficiency? Imagine that every step you take is recorded and every experience is processed at the speed of light. Sounds frightening, doesn't it? But is it possible in this dark, data-saturated world to still find that spark that fills life with meaning? Digital assistants do everything for us, from selecting movies to restaurant recommendations. But can they truly understand what it means to invite a loved one on a date or to experience a friend's betrayal? Is it true that only in mechanical calculations can we find answers to questions that are as eternal as human nature itself? So, is it possible for feelings to remain free and independent, even as the world around us becomes increasingly filled with algorithms? Together with you, we will try to unravel these complex questions and find an answer. Are you ready to dive into a world where technology seeks to replace our emotions? Are you ready to hear about how I lost myself in my own memories? We all know that magic when a simple thing, an old photograph, a forgotten melody, can transport us back to moments filled with vivid emotions and carefreeness. But what if this nostalgia becomes our trap? Imagine this. You sit in a dark room shaking a dusty box of photographs in your hands and your heart tightly clenches with longing. You look at the smiles of the people you loved at moments brimming with life. It's as if they whisper from afar. Remember how it was. Time has passed, but only ghosts of feelings remain, the warmth of which no longer comforts. You feel that right now you are unable to experience what was then. Spontaneous joys, piercing dreams, carefree excitement. Every time you try to remember, your heart runs into a wall of true emotional scarcity. And you know what's most frightening? You seek those old feelings, but they dissolve like smoke when you try to grasp them. How often do you look at your old photos and find tears in your eyes? It's not just memories of the past, but your personal struggle with the present, which turns out to be not bright enough to overshadow those moments. It's easy to get lost in this sweet yet bitter feeling. It can become your strongest adversary. You remind yourself that you are ready to experience happiness again, and you return to fantasies of the past where everything is simpler and easier. But have you ever thought that the center of all this is not just regret for the past, but also the fear of losing it? Those old feelings have become your comfort zone, but do they really allow you to live? Every time you pick up that very box of photographs, it's as if you pause your real life. It's like a vicious circle that's hard to break free from. And here arises the question: is it possible to bring spontaneity back into your life without losing touch with the past? Can we learn to live for today using those very memories as a support for the new rather than as an obstacle? Will we open our eyes to the reality that here and now can also have a place for vibrant emotions and genuine happiness? Let's explore how we can create new moments that will dress you in colorful memories of the future and allow you to break free from the chains of nostalgia. What if I told you that about 90% of the emotions you experience in life are merely a result of external influence? We are presented with sweet images of joy, love, and success, but behind all of this lies real suffering that no one wants to see. We are surrounded by ideals that are designed to make us feel, thus leaving no room for our true pain. Remember how you look at the bright screens of your phones, participating in endless happy, successful stories? How easy it is to be happy in the Facebook world, where everyone smiles and deep feelings are forgotten. But as soon as you stick your nose outside the doors of virtual reality, you are confronted with the cold truth. Suffering exists. It doesn't go away, and all those beautiful illusions cannot annul it. Imagine a situation: a successful entrepreneur at the peak of their career with billions in the bank. They are surrounded by luxury but come home alone with an inner torment that is even incomprehensible to them. Sometimes it seems that the more success one has, the more pain lies beneath the surface. The same goes for relationships. Perfect family pictures are constructed, but behind them may lurk loneliness and misunderstanding. It's hard not to notice the contradiction. The more we strive for artificial emotions, the less we acknowledge the real pain that requires attention. We prefer to ignore it, hiding in the illusions we've created. But essentially, this does not free us from fear, sorrow, or pain. On the contrary, it only deepens that abyss. Suffering is alive and demands our acknowledgement, and only then perhaps can we begin true healing. The stinking dirt still settles in the corners of our hearts, despite all the good reasons to settle for only joy. Accepting that feelings can be constructed, but true pain is a deep part of us, perhaps the only connection that makes us real and human. The choice is always ours: to live in creative illusions or to confront real life and its complex nature. And it is in this contradiction that the depth of the problem lies. Are you ready to learn the shocking truth? Statistics reveal an alarming trend that makes you think. The level of happiness after treatment actually decreases. The graphs you see on the screen confirm this. They show that despite all the efforts of the systems, the result is far from what was promised. Imagine people striving for an ideal state return to their previous issues. How is this possible? The system that was supposed to help is creating a new cycle of suffering before our eyes. Can we trust its promises? Analysts are raising alarms. 60% of program participants do not feel any improvement, and 30% even worsen their condition. These are not just numbers. These are real lives trapped in a cycle of expectations and disappointment. Can such a system truly be effective if it proves to be only a temporary relief? It is no surprise that more and more people are beginning to question these methods. Do we need changes if old approaches continue to yield such alarming results? Think about this as we delve deeper into the details of our common problem. What if I told you that life is just an algorithm and feelings are a complex code that can be rewritten? We live in a world of neon lights where each moment flickers like a binary signal. But do we really control this symphony? Or are we merely following a predetermined path like pawns in a game? Watch as the city dances to the sounds of the evening. People rush by, their gazes illuminated by screens, each finding solace in algorithms. But what if the way out is not in battling biology, but in mastering the art of being oneself, truly feeling? In a world where farmers in fields are replaced by robots, where our emotions are commodities, the less we depend on digital mechanisms, the more independent we become. Imagine in an instant we could create our feelings like an artist on a canvas. What if being here at this window you uncovered the ability to experience joy or sadness without conforming to others' expectations? Ask yourself, when was the last time you allowed yourself to simply be, just feel? This challenge is a rethinking of freedom. Perhaps you can experience life differently, presented to you as a raging sea without borders and harsh laws. No matter how my inner world is depicted by the algorithm, I choose conscious emotions, I choose to feel. And how exhilarating that is. Are you capable of self-perception, of real emotions beyond limits and constraints? In this neon time, amidst the endless stream of data, give yourself a chance to try. Will you step into the unknown and discover a new level of freedom for yourself? What if I told you that the choices you make every day can shape your life? Let's imagine you are at a crossroads. On one side is real pain, with its cold and cruel face. On the other is artificial calm, wrapping you in warmth but leaving no room for true feelings. Which of these paths will you choose? Perhaps you've always wanted to escape fear and tears, to choose comfort and tranquility. But maybe it is through pain that we become stronger. Isn't that the essence of our existence? Every step on the true path, even if it is thorny, shapes us, creates strength of spirit, and teaches us to appreciate joy. Imagine that you once experienced true joy, when your heart raced so fast it felt like it would burst from your chest. But this was possible because of the pain you endured. Do you think it's possible to avoid suffering and still be truly happy? Reflect on what your choice is worth. Now imagine you have the chance to avoid all difficulties. You choose calmness, a life without unnecessary questions and worries. But is this genuine life? Or is it just an illusion that can be swept away at any moment by the tide of reality? I ask you, would you choose real pain or artificial calm? Your inner voice is already with you, and it will guide you on which path to take. Let's discuss this in the comments. What choice would you make?